Good evening. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So I guess this is part 2, episode 2. I don't know what I want to call it. But a continuation from last night's blog. I won't get into, the Pink Diaries. This was a former project that I didn't complete. Unforeseen circumstances, but ironically, it still worked out. Pink Diaries of a Hustler, the Housewife is what I'm talking about. But more on that, it's a different story for a different day. Okay. So there's so much that I want to say that I want to narrow into 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Just coming back from the gym, so excuse my whatever gym clothes, gym hair. Which part? Okay. So I already mentioned I'm 3 years sober. For those who don't know, I'm trying to see how long I've been vape free. I think it's going on a year. Wow, has it been a year? So I'll share that story. Okay. When it's like everything, my world just started spinning. Okay. A very powerful spiritual experience. Okay. So there will be some that have a spiritual awakening. Few have a spiritual experience. Okay. So a spiritual awakening is like gradual. It can happen over the course of, the span of months, years even. And anyone who's on a spiritual journey of some sort should have an idea. But unless you've identified a specific point in your life that you had a spiritual experience, you may not understand. Okay. It's like sudden. A spiritual experience that happens suddenly and you're forever changed. Okay. I used to could not understand this concept when people would say, oh, they had this spiritual experience and they no longer drink or smoke or whatever, right? And I couldn't understand this until it happened to me. Okay. So when I was sharing this story, the parable of the 10 virgins, okay, there were 5 wise virgins and there were 5 foolish virgins. And these were the brides waiting for Christ, the groom, okay. In the Bible, I'm referring to, we know that parable of the groom is the Christ, the Messiah, because whoever has the bride is the groom. It is written. And, Messiah says, do not let your lights grow dim, okay? Because we are to be the light of the world. And the 5 foolish virgins, they tell the 5 wise to give us some of your oil because our lamps have grown dim. And the 5 wise who had extra oil for their lamps, for the groom, they say, no, we need this oil for ourselves for when the groom comes. Otherwise, we will not have enough oil for ourselves. So you ladies need to go and, purchase more oil where they're selling oil. I heard they're selling oil in Egypt, perhaps. I don't know. So the 5 foolish brides say, okay, we'll go get more oil and we'll be right back. Well, do you know that the groom is coming like a thief in the night? Or the thief, hold on. The groom. This is how the end comes, people. Like a thief in the night at an hour we least expect. Soon as the 5 brides, the foolish, left, do you know the groom came, swooped up his brides, and that door was shut and sealed. How many of you know that when God shuts the door, Noah's Ark? Remember when the plagues of Egypt passed and the angel of the Lord had sealed the doors shut so that the plagues would just pass over? The doors that had the red painted. No one can open a door that God has shut. The door was sealed. And do you know, like, there was one, given power. This is Revelations, I believe, who said, don't harm anything until the foreheads are sealed. Okay? This is of the remnant. Okay. So let he who has an ear to hear that the door was shut and sealed. Okay? And I have been wanting to quit vaping for some time. I was coming up on 2 years sober, so I can't even take credit for it because it's going to sound crazy, but it's going to sound crazy. Let it sound crazy, I guess. It's like others could see that I was vaping, even though, like, when I was talking to the pastors, though I don't call them pastor because the Father tells me not to, and I was speaking to them, we'll say like via Instagram, okay, in the comments, and somehow they, or whoever was controlling their profile for a while, they could see what I was doing. Like, I thought there were cameras in my house, in my apartment. It's not the kind of thing the police can help with, because I wanted to call 911, and I'm like, what would I even say? There's cameras. Where can you come search my house for bugs, for I'm being watched, right? The signs were too much to be just a coincidence. It was sort of scary at the time, frightening, that they could see everything. I'm seeing everything. There was no, like, when you put those glasses on to play the game in the metaverse or whatever. I don't own a pair, but you can see, like, inside the video game or whatever, a different, like, it's like that's how it was explained to me, shown to me. Like, they were in me and they could see. Like, there's a passage in the Bible that talks about the creature with all the eyes, bottles all over it. It could see the witnesses, God's witnesses. They could see everything. Like, yeah, that's the image that came to mind. So on this particular day, I was looking for my vape and could not find my vape. Looking for my vape juice. I'm sorry. And I know I had like at least a bottle full of vape juice. And I was just coming back from somewhere. So I go out to my car. After I made it back to the apartment, I go back out to my car. I'm like going crazy looking for the vape juice because, like when you need a cigarette, because it's very highly, highly addictive, which is why I struggled to quit. And I needed a miracle. I needed God's deliverance from, my Heavenly Father. And when I couldn't find it in my car, I came back to, this is a true story, my apartment building, the entrance door, one of the entrances, and there were two ladies I had never seen, among other people I had never seen, that would just randomly, out of nowhere, these two particular girls were blocking the entrance to where I could not get back in. My ex and I at the time were not in a good place. My name was no longer on the lease. I don't know who these girls were, but it's like they were some kind of possessed, like in the Matrix, when Morpheus said, if they're not one of us, they're one of them, right? It was like them, right? They say, you don't live here, do you? Show us your ID or something. It's like, I remember that, like, I just threw on like a jacket with little shorts. Like, I wasn't even dressed properly. So I was rushing to try to get in through that entrance because it was the closest one. I said, it's fine, I wasn't going to argue. It's like they were gatekeeping the entrance back into my building. And I did not want the property managers to even, I didn't want to make a big deal. So I knew that I had a key to get in. So I went to another entrance on the other side. And I got in. And I could not find that vape juice. So I went back out again. Made sure I had my key. And I'm rushing. And mind you, I'm thinking the whole time I recalled it, they are seeing me. I know it sounds crazy, but just stay with me. Because they would tell me when I went to get vape juice, they say, oh, you better stop vaping. Like, and I'm thinking, how would they even know that, right? One of the pastors said this. So I'm like, no, there's no way. I mean, it's something that I was, accountable for, it's like I quit drinking and then the vaping was next on the list. And it was something I was having a hard time with. And God was still using me, nonetheless, But Messiah say, why do you worry about the speckle in your brother's eye? First remove the plank from your own eye. This is what I tell them. But anyways, it bothered me so much. I didn't want to vape anymore. Especially if there were witnesses. And this was just like regular vape, like nicotine, like not passing judgment, but not like weed or anything, just nicotine. And that's my time. So I'll wrap it up. So as I am rushing to go hurry up and get the vape juice, I look back and I see a large woman standing in the doorway where I left, like she was watching. And I'm like, oh shoot, they're gonna like gatekeep. And the parable of the virgins that I had spoke many times, many times, about the foolish bride, the foolish virgin, who missed the groom because they let their lamp grow dim and they went to get more oil. Where was I on my way to? I was on my way to get the vape oil for my vape. And it's like the door was being, they were gatekeeping. I wasn't sure if I could get back in. As I said, I was no longer on the lease. And I started thinking, oh, the groom and the door being shut and sealed. And I believe so much in the Bible, in the story. Like, it's like fear. The fear of God was back in me. He put the fear of God in me that day. I was so fearful. I slammed my vape on the ground and crushed it right in the street. I slammed it as hard as I could. No more vape oil. I never made it back to Egypt. You know what I mean? And I run back. I'm able to get in. Even though I was like, going through withdrawal and everything. That was the most powerful spiritual experience ever, like that I had ever experienced. It wasn't the first, but it started with a knock, as I say. I heard a knock, a tapping sound, alone in my apartment. It freaked me out. I was terrified. There was nothing in there that I could see with my eye, and the tapping was getting closer and closer. Is when it started, 2016, 2017, around that time. So yeah, I want to keep this short, so I'll end it there. So that's how I was delivered from vaping. Peace be with you. Shalom.